What's up, y'all? Welcome to our seventh interview. Today, we will be interviewing our first female guest in the history of our series, and that is Coach Ruby Ackerman. Coach Ackerman played all 4 years at the University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. She is also is the first ever Beth Gantz Award winner, an award that is given to a player that demonstrates a high level of leadership and sportsmanship. Others to win this award include Kathi Bennet, a great basketball coach with an overall record of 353 wins and 270 losses. The most recent recipient is Caitlyn Hibner, who people consider to be the next rising star at the University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. Miss Coach Ackerman finished her career at the University of Wisconsin at Green Bay with 89 wins and just 31 losses. Thank you so much, Coach Ackerman, for joining us. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
And then to start with the first question, how did you balance your time with college studies and college basketball?
Well, it's a little hard for practices. They let you know what time. It's we had a split with the guys, so it was either 4 to 6 or 6 to 8. And then once you know your practice times, then you sign up for your classes. And as you'll find out next year, you take your AURs. So those are the basic classes. The first couple of years you go to, or when I went to school, and then you get into more of your major classes. So it worked out pretty well as far as budgeting time. Preseason, when we had to do workouts and so forth and weights and all that, you can do that on your own. You just had to have someone sign off for you. So it's just a matter of organization, and then find the classes that fit your time.
Yeah, so you had a long career. Did you have a favorite game during your career?
I had some. I was thinking over that. I don't think too much about the college days, but as far as playing, but a couple of things reminded me. Uh, when we played Carthage one year, and I got an elbow in the mouth and chipped a tooth, and that was kind of a mess. And then we played at Carroll College one year, and some of my friends surprised me and came and showed up for that game, and I had a cut on my forehead, and the trainer came over while I was talking to them, all worried about the cut, and I'm like, I'm with friends here. Let's get serious. Just little things like that. We played at the Rosemont when Ray Myers, you guys are really too young for this, but used to coach DePaul. We played DePaul. And we also had satellite nationals. That's like the semis before you go to nationals in Charleston, South Carolina. And that was pretty fun to play there. So we traveled a little bit, but we stayed basically within the Wisconsin, Ohio, um, Michigan, Minnesota area. So when we got to go to satellite nationals, that was pretty fun to get out and fly, and instead of taking the bus everywhere. So it was a good time. It was a good time.
You mentioned a couple cuts and bruises. Um, what's the thing that just comes to mind is LeBron just got hit in the eye and they're considering flagrant foul. Have you ever seen a player and he's like complaining he got like elbowed in the belly and you're like, I got that every time. So how did you deal with that physicality of the game while you were playing?
Um, it wasn't. It was pretty physical because I know one of your questions is going to be the 3-point line, but most of it was packed in most of the time. So you got picked off, you got screened off, you got when you box out for rebounds and so forth. So it's supposed to be a non-contact sport, but definitely isn't. So not too much complaining went on. Usually, a coach said don't talk to the referees, because you didn't want to get a technical. So usually you didn't do too much. Usually your teammates took care of it. You send them their way, they'll set a pick or, take care of them when they're trying to get the ball or what have you. So there's little tricks of the trade you can do to get back at if you feel like you got cheated. So that's the way we handled it back in the day.
Yeah, and you foreshadowed one of our questions about the three-point line. What are your thoughts about the three-point line back when you played?
Well, it wasn't there, so we didn't have to worry about it. And I'm that old, so I didn't have to worry about it. Nowadays, it's a different game. It's changed quite a bit because we had high-low posts. Now you don't really hear those terms anymore. Everyone shoots from way out, and you don't really stack the middle anymore. We used to usually you want to guard the center or the forwards that are good. Now everyone shoots from that 3 point line. Basically, that's what it is. So it's a different game right now. The 3 point, the true 3 point play. Sometimes they use that when you get fouled while you're shooting, and your bucket goes in, and then you take one at the line. That's back in my day when that happened. That's how we played. So 3 point line, I don't know too much about, except they like to fire it. That's for sure. So I guess that's the big change. Instead of pounding it inside, it's more outside game than inside.
That's definitely it's a great or an interesting progression we've seen from the 3 point line from the Warriors and then the Rockets from a few years ago. But you talked about like working with your teammates to get after someone legally if they hit you a hard hit. So, what impact did team chemistry have on your team winning games?
Oh, winning games, it's you have to be close. I mean, again, you don't have to like everyone, but I certainly did like everybody on the team. And you have to have some fun. When it's time to play, though, the gloves come off, and everyone's has each other's back. So it's not like it's you didn't like anyone. You liked them. You had a great time on the court, and you had a great time off the court. So I was pretty close. I was very lucky that we all got along. We still get along to this day. We get together and have some laughs and talks, and people pop up different weird things that we did, and all that nonsense. So you have to be close to your teammates. I believe that thoroughly, and it's like another family. They take care of you. You take care of each other. You get to meet their parents, their families. You travel together. So you see them in classes and outside of school as well. So you have to be close to them, I believe.
How do you think that great team chemistry affected your ability to win so many games?
Well, you have to have chemistry. You got to know what they're doing. You have to play with them so much that you know what they're going to do before they do it. You can give them a look, you can give them a nod, you can give them without even talking, and they'll back cut or they'll pick or they'll roll, and they know they're going to get the ball. So the more chemistry you have, the better off your team's going to be. Absolutely.
Speaking of, you just referenced how you are still close with your teammates today. Um, how do you stay in touch with them?
I have some. Well, I've been maid of honors for some of their weddings. Goodness gracious, I'm part of their family. I'm aunts to some of their kids. Um, when I go back to Wisconsin, that's where I'm from. I usually call and then say I'm coming up, see if the gang wants to get together. And another teammate from college and her husband own a pub. Can I say that? And that's where we all get together. And most of them still live in Green Bay or surrounding areas. So it's easy for them to come in. And about 10 of us, 8 of us will get together. And when I come in and spend some time visiting, like I said, and hashing old days. And if something's coming up, like a reunion or what have you, then they'll talk about it and see if I'm coming up for it or what have you. So yeah, they try to get together. They usually do. Sometimes, like a friend of mine's daughter was playing for Loyola volleyball against GB, and I went up there and surprised them. And a couple of them were there watching as well. So we get together that way too. It just kind of depends. And when GB played in the, I think it was Sweet 16 at Reunion a few years ago, I went and I saw some old people that I hadn't seen in forever that used to work the sports center where we used to practice and play our games. So that was wild. I hadn't seen them in a lot of years. So that was very nice. And then when I went home, they surprised me and we met at that place. And it was really nice. It was really nice.
That's great to hear, and now you're becoming part of their families, which is just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy it.
Was there an extra comfort for playing at home as you only lost 8 games at home?
Right. Yeah. Well, the floor, the lighting, the I hate to say this backboards, where the clocks are. You're very familiar with the place. You're comfortable. You didn't have to travel because back then we basically traveled in buses or vans, so we didn't really fly. And we came back. We rarely stayed in a hotel unless we were playing a couple like Marquette. and Carroll College or Carthage, which are pretty close together. Um, so just being in your own bed at home, you don't have to sit in a van or a bus. It just made it more comfortable. You're used to, like I said, the lighting, all the people, the fans are cheering you. Not that you hear them during the game, but at the beginning, when warm ups and stuff like that, people are saying hi, talking to you, all that kind of comfort of being at home. Made it easier to play at home, I believe.
You mentioned taking some bus rides. Do you have I feel saying famous story, that's kind of the anti-famous story of like just or maybe a terrifying story about dealing with the bus.
Dealing with the bus.
Like
A
did it
story.
break down or
Well, no, no. That one night when we were playing at DePaul, we played, and then DePaul guys played right after us, and they were playing a team, and we could stay and watch them if we wanted to. So we stayed for a while, and then it started to snow, and of course it snowed very hard. So it was almost halfway up the bus. I mean, we had a lot of snow that night, so it was a little challenging driving home that night. A little bit scary driving from Chicago area to back to Green Bay. So, I mean, you always have that kind of, but again, I'm playing with girls. I'm only 5'6" back then. And most of my teammates are 6 feet. That's about the tallest we had back then, 6'1" maybe. And so, in a van, they have the long legs, so they get all the space, and the smaller uh, guards didn't have very much space. So again, we're not we're not in luxury here. Back then, we were D2, so we were the runts. So driving in the van, and it's room, room.
during your time at the University of Wisconsin at Green Bay, you only lost 8 games at home, and 5 of those were just your freshman year. How did you and your team accomplish such a record?
Well, I think preparation is always the key. Wanting to do that, going the extra mile, seeing what you can do from one year to the other year. You want to improve all the time, and our chemistry was very good. We had a lot of old and young together, so we didn't have a big crop of young kids, and or a big crop of old people leaving at the same time. It was a good mix every year I was there. So it was, and it was just everyone was on the same page. We wanted to win. We wanted to do well, and we took pride in playing and doing that.
What effect do you think your coach had on your ability to win so many games?
Our coach was Carol Hammerly. She was very good. She was there for a long time. Knew her system well and tried to get it across from us. Was detailed oriented. She wanted us to, do everything the best we could do, which is, I have no problem with that at all. We hit the weight room, we ran, we were in shape. We tried to eat right back then, and try to obey the curfew. But we all. She wanted us to do our very best, and we try to do our best for her and the university.
You mentioned eating right. Can you go into more detail of just how you dealt with that?
Well, you don't want to eat just junk food, like most people, or eat out. You want to get good nutrition. You don't want to drink pop all the time and that kind of stuff. But back then we didn't have as many choices, of course, as they do now as far as Gatorade. Of course, we had that back then, but and other things that you can eat and drink. Um, so it's just really because you're on your own in college, as you guys will find out. And so no one's making you your breakfast or making sure you're eating right, so you have to do it by yourself. But our trainers were great. Our coaches were great, so they kind of kept on track with that.
And then turning to a more serious note, we've recognized the discrepancies between the men's and women's tournament recently, as we saw the pictures from these past tournaments. What do you think should be done to fix this major issue that we have between the two sports?
Well, it's still a battle. It's been a battle for a long time. It was a battle, not so much when I was growing up, but it was a battle in college, definitely. Like we played at the university, our guys played at Brown County Arena. We had more fans than our guys did, and it's and they still do the same thing. They made a new, or they have a new gym for the girls, but the guys still play over at the rec center, or the Rush Center, excuse me. That's across from Lambeau, and and hopefully their program's better. But it's one of those things where I think more, if you see more of the women play and the good teams for the women. I know we're sick of seeing Connecticut and South Carolina, but Notre Dame's good. There's other teams out there that just need to be seen. I think if it's a situation where the sports are covered better by local channels, and even on the high school level too, if they get more coverage and more newsprint and radio time, things will improve. It shouldn't be a side note that, oh, by the way, Baylor women, or whoever won the situation, the game. So it just needs to be out there more. It's not out there. It's like a side note. And then it's always the coach, depending on who the coach is. So
That's some great and interesting advice for how the NCAA should handle things. And hopefully they take your advice, because the way they've been doing it now is, as I think we can all can say, is just not the right way. But on to a little bit lighter note. For you mentioned Wisconsin, you mentioned Lambeau Field. Um, what was it? What is it like at Lambeau Field? Because we had Jeff Allen, and he talked about walking around the stadium. He just loved Lambeau Field. So, what are your thoughts on Lambeau Field?
oh, yeah. If you can get a ticket, you need to go. No, you can. It gives you kind of chills if you take the tour of it. It's fantastic. I took it a couple of times. It's nice. It's filled with history, filled with honor. Everybody loves them. The stadium is in a neighborhood. Um, it's big. You can see Bart Starr, not anymore, but I mean, you can hear him, you can see him. Paul Horning, he has his Heisman Trophy there that he gave it to Lambeau to have and to hold. Um, so it's just a lot of history that people know. People just bleed it. My parents bled it. I mean, it's just one of those things. Now they were doing well. We'll see what happens. And it's a magical place. It's a fun time, and it's a fun ticket, and everybody is good people there. Good people.
And then one more question. If you would like to talk about it, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and just the Packers this next season?
Well, we'll see. We'll see if he shows. Hopefully, he'll come back. Hopefully, I have a change of heart. Hopefully, the people will forgive. That's that's going to be a big one, whether he comes back or not. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm used to him losing. That's how I grew up. They were losers. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with him. Again, he is a California guy, so we'll see. We'll see. But I think the Packers are his best ticket in town, so we'll see if he changes his mind.
Yes, we will see, and it will definitely be an interesting thing to watch. Thank you so much, Coach Ackerman. We really enjoyed having you on. Um, thank you again, and thank you for listening. And make sure to listen to more interviews from Outsiders Opinions.